everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to paint ears. I love painting ears. Welcome to the About Face. We do this every Thursday. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
And we come to you every Thursday and paint things that are about the face. This is part of something called the Big Art Quest, where we just kind of cover things that you, as a hungry person about art, might want to know, so that you enjoy your creative space and be more informed. That's kind of what it's all about. It's to keep it really kind of chill and groovy and fun and not stressful. So it's a balancing act. We're juggling that, and this particular one is about ears. I get asked a lot of questions about ears.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people are very frustrated with painting ears. And I think it's that we just don't do it a lot.
Yeah,
you know, we're concerned here.
They're on the side of your head.
They're on the side of your head. You don't necessarily draw or paint them a lot because they're like here unless you're doing a profile. And then again, we tend to be so concerned with this because this tells us a lot of stuff. This tells us everything we need to know. And maybe we could all do better listening. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. It's not actually going to be like that. If you're new here and you're like, oh, no, seriously, we're just goofy. But this is a painting. I think this is really pretty, honestly. I just think the painting came out really gorgeous. This is going to be a lot of blending. We're going to talk about skin tones and blending and the structure of ears, and we're going to cover a lot of stuff. Guess what? What if you don't draw?
What if you don't draw?
I have a traceable.
You do?
I do, and no, I don't think it's cheating.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's cheating.
I see it. I see your traceable over there. There it is.
There it is. See, there it is.
And
I'm going to show you how you can get that on the canvas. And I'm still going to talk to you about how you draw the ear.
Now, where can they find that traceable?
At TheArtSherpa.com.
Yeah, we've got all of them are right up there for you guys to find.
You have to say The Art Sherpa, or you
Sherpa.
go to some other place that is not me.
Right.
Go, The Art Sherpa.
The Art Sherpa.
I'm the. See, modifiers. Very important. Especially in website addresses. So, I'm going to definitely show you how to trace this in. I'm going to talk about how we draw this in. If you want to know more about the materials, because I'm going to put the paint out as I go, I'm in a really hot studio. And for longer lessons, right, this is going to be about an hour and a half. For longer lessons, I don't like to put the paint all out at once because it skins. So check the description below for the exact materials list that we're going to be using if you want to have that all out and ready to go before we start. All right, here's a traceable.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I have this piece of paper that I drew my design on. So this is the side I drew it on. So I'm going to come on this side, the reverse side.
Okay.
And everywhere I have a mark, I'm going to rub a little graphite.
A mark?
Everywhere I have a line,
A
mark with my pen.
Why are you doing that?
I don't really need all these lines because this is going to make this transfer.
So
what I'm really making is very inexpensive carbon paper. You would print this out on your printer and then just rub the back and trace it on. And here's my thinking on this. Drawing is a skill. I think it's super learnable. I think there's a lot of great channels about drawing. We have some drawing tutorials. I definitely encourage anyone interested in art to pick it up as a skill. But it is not the only art skill. There's design. There's color theory. There's different types of craft. There's a whole bunch of them that just are never going to require drawing at all. Right? Think about like anything in the textile world might not have any drawing.
So if
anything in the clay world. So you can't really say something limiting like, oh, I got to be able to draw to be an artist. Not really true.
So if you're using your pencil or chalk at home to your graphite, you just have to make sure you cover all the backside
all
lines.
the lines, because it will only transfer where you make this rubbing. So if you want some information, you got to make sure that you rubbed this. And what's nice is you can then use this again and again and again. The reason artists like to use skills like this, transferring, is like, say I wanted to do a series of these paintings together in different color stories and hang them in a collection. Because that's the body of work I was building, right? And there would be different ways that I would try to repeat those images on canvas to make them seem uniform. I could use projection. Or I could use tracing. These are all acceptable ways. Or I could do gridding if I felt really purist. Where I had to be like, oh, I freehanded every minute of it. If you must, you may. It's just, that's art. If you must, you may. I'm going to use this pen simply because I like to know where I made my mark, and it has a very hard nib. Felt pens don't do a good job making transfers simply because they're too soft. So I'm just going to kind of generally talk about the lines. Coming around this ear.
Gotcha.
Here.
Now, was that an HB pencil you were using?
This particular one is actually, oh my goodness, I grabbed the 8B. You could use an HB. I just had an 8B and I grabbed it.
Ah.
If you guys noticed a weird pencil, like, what is that pencil? That's my 8B. That's my 8B baby.
You have lots of pencils.
I have so many pencils. I really like those jumbo pencils. Just personally, I use them a lot in my designs and sketches. And so, working the ink down, sometimes I grab one that's very soft. And I'm going to just catch the back of this hairline.
So Janine says, I don't always use a traceable, but when I do, it's a Sherpa traceable. I thought that was funny.
So I'm coming here and I'm just going over this. You'll notice that I taped this up here. If you find that you're very heavy-handed, like you lean into your canvas heavily, you may want to double tape your traceable.
Hmm.
You're left-handed, you may want to double tape your traceable. Because you might be leaning in this way hard. Just weird little things that you might have going on. Because if you don't, then they'll move. Once I have that sort of sketched in, look at that.
Ooh.
There it is. Just like the, whoop, where'd it go? Just like the original. Now, you're not really, I'm going to use graphite here, just so you guys can see it.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about the structure of the ear.
Okay.
So the eye line and the top of the ear in general would come together if you think about it, and then the bridge of the nose. Because, and someone actually said this to me, I thought was so good, is because that's where your glasses go. And you're just like, it's a good way of thinking of it if you're having trouble. I like to curve the top of the ear. There's a fold right here. I'm going to bring it around. Lobes and ears come in as many shapes as fingerprints. In fact, our field research, our MiniQuest, for those of you that are brave enough to do it, we're going to put this on the TAS page on the Big Art Quest, is to take a photo of your ear and do an ear selfie.
Oh. Now, do you know about the thing about the hanging lobe versus non-hanging lobe ear thing?
I know it's a thing.
Yeah, it's like, I know there's just a genetic thing where, like, if you have a separated hanging earlobe, that's, you know, that's a genetic marker that's different than those of us who don't have it.
Yeah,
So-
you know, I'm kind of like, people are people.
Well, no, I just think it's sort of,
No,
it's
I actually am not familiar with that.
oh no, I just thought it was sort of interesting because it's one
It
of
is.
those, you know, weird parts of the human body that, like, wait a minute, some of us have earlobes that separate, some of us don't, and, you know, I thought that was an interesting thing.
And really, honestly, this hot mess in here is often very different from person to person, right? So, you know, bringing this cartilage around. I had a reference photo, which I included.
Robin says she has elf ears.
I'm jealous, Robin. So this nice little bit is in. I'm going to be on the background really working these little brushes. These are, I got a 2-inch stiff white nylon here. I like these. You can do this or the bullets and cutter. This is going to be my blending brush. And I'm going to start out putting out a little Cad Yellow Medium. Cad Yellow Medium. This is going to be a very white heavy painting. Whenever I'm working skin tones, I'm going to be doing a lot of white heavy painting. I'm going to, unless, you know, I'm painting somebody who's dark skinned, and then I will be doing a yellow ochre and umber heavy painting. Much less white, which is nice too. And we have quests on that. If you want to paint a different skin tone, guess what? We've got quests on that. We've got videos about that, so you can totally do that and not be stressed about it. I ran out of quinacridone. I had to get different quinacridone. And yet it's the same, because it's the same pigment. All right, so we've got this here.
Yes.
I'm going to put out a little of my glazing liquid. If you're doing portraits, I recommend, just from personal happy experience, getting some of this. This is acrylic glazing liquid gloss by Golden. I think this stuff is the bomb. And it makes my painting experience easier. It is not the only way, though. Anything I'm saying to you, really, let's just absolutely put a pin in, like, this is not the only way to do it.
There.
Right? You might go sit with 5 teachers to do the same thing, and they might give you 5 different ways to get the same thing done.
There are as many ways to paint your ear as there are ears to paint.
I'm just telling you the way I do it that I feel like you might be successful at. But you could sit there and take a little bit from anybody out there and
they're all joking about how they're going to be taking ear selfies and how
Yes.
they might have someone awkwardly walk in on them while they're taking
Get
ear
that
selfies.
ear selfie, and then, just a pencil sketch, a little watercolor sketch. Do your ear selfie, and then post that up on social media and be like, selfie.
Can someone
Ears
else
are crazy.
Can someone else take the picture of the ear, or do you have to take a picture of your own ear? That's the thing. That's kind of the challenge right now, is because
I think you can get, if you have someone to take, someone to take a picture of your ear. I don't think that I don't think that interferes with the artistry of it.
I think it's
I'm going
double.
to take my little diamond-shaped palette knife. I'm going to be using this a lot for mixing my skin tones. And I'm going to bring it over to my white.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make a very soft, ducky white. Right here. See how soft and ducky it is?
Mm-hmm.
Baby duck white. Actually, I use this in the skin tone too, so it's nice to have a little glop of this up. Just incorporating the knife to get a nice little mixture, because whereas I sometimes like things to be very streaky,
Mm-hmm.
in this particular case, I don't want it to be streaky. Yeah. Now, I'm going to get a number 10 bright, right?
Yep.
This is synthetic. This is a very firm filament with a good edge, and that's why I'm going to like it. I'm going to come get my brush of water. I'm going to dip the brush in and just drag off any extra. A good acrylic brush will not overload with water. Soften when you get it wet. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to just paint this part around where the bun is with this bright yellow. I really like this blended background. This is sometimes hard for people to get. Right? And here's what I'll say about that. If you go fast and you have this second brush, it's actually easier than you think. Now I'm going to add a little glazing medium to this so that it's going to blend really nicely right along here. And I'm laying down my quinacridone pigment a good little bit up. Quinacridone is slightly transparent. So that's something that you should be expecting. And to get this blended look that I have, I use a 2-brush technique. This is also really useful for clouds and water and sky. So I'm going to take this dry 2-inch brush.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come here and I'm going to blend these, which are hopefully, because I was talking, still wet. If I need to get some glazing medium, I'm going to.
Oh.
Because it has to be wet into wet or it doesn't work.
Oh, and you needed that glazing medium because it gets so hot and dry fast in
It does. I'm going to get another brush. This got too dirty. Ha ha! See?
You're like, I have brushes.
I will use them as much as I need to.
You just grab, and that, you can always wash them
And
out.
if I've got a hard edge here, I'm going to rinse out or get a whole new clean brush. Because you don't want to mix. No, this is like a whole thing. Look, all I'm telling you is I can get that oil effect. Does it mean a few more minutes at my sink? Yes, it does. Do I mind? No, I don't. There we go. Blending. Because I want that feeling. And there's always a way with acrylic paint to mimic the feeling of anything else. There we go. We've got it now. Nice blend.
Your blend.
Blend. And that's how you get that. That's why it's fun to have a lot of brushes just around.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can be like, oh, I got all my brushes around. All right. Painting this in.
Is golden glazing similar to Liquitex gloss medium and varnish?
No.
Okay.
You'd think they would be, but they're not. In that they're transparent and they extend paint, sure. But not really much past that.
Gotcha.
So paint companies, in general, at the moment, this could change, who knows, right? It's like an ever-changing market. But at the moment, only make products because they need to.
Right.
Because they have real value to the artist using them.
And despite crazy names, they all do
Yes.
interesting, good things.
Despite the crazy names. So see, I'm taking this now. I'm dusting. You can see how I'm dusting this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to have to hand these brushes off to John to go watch them. So they don't get stiff on me. But you can see how I'm creating this very soft blended space. Is that not crazy?
That's crazy.
I love doing that. All right, I'm going to give you the brushes that I glazed with.
Did you you dirtied.
Dirtied. These are, so you can kind of see we're just doing the dusting here. And that's why these are nice, because they come in those packages, and then so you have backups on backups on backups, and they're really inexpensive. But a bulletin cutter, which is this, does this beautifully. And that's how you start to get those sort of Bob Rossi, fluffy, blendy, cloudy things. That's why they're... Yeah, I said it. The stiff white nylons that come in the packaging like that. And description. Stiff white nylon. You've seen. No. I'm just saying that's another good brush. I like that one on a slightly bigger canvas. And that's nice for blended skies. And, ooh, it's really good for water reflections. If you want to blend out some trees, I'm just waiting for him to come back while I'm doing my sippy. So we're going to be using a couple skin color mixes. In the description below, I have a book that's listed. It is a skin tone recipe book. It is just one that I really love. I think it has a lot of really useful recipes, a great kind of primer or starter. And it's just real simple, and it's not crazy or pretentious, and it's in the description below. And that's oh, thank you. And that is a link to Amazon. But listen, I see them in garage sales, so just keep your eyes out for it. If you see it, grab it. I'm going to put out my other colors, Mr. Cooney.
What colors?
I'm going to put out some yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre?
Because you can't do skin tones without yellow ochre. Right? Can't do that. You need a lot of it. More of it. I'm mixing up paints today. So be ready for that. Cad Red Light is going to come out and visit everybody. It's a hot day. I'm going to be misting this paint. You can tell I'm into Texas summer. I'm going to put out some burnt sienna. You could also do burnt umber here. And I have some quinacridone left, so that's really good. And then here is a key one.
Now,
Alizarine Crimson. You're going to find in a lot of recipe books that they really like Alizarine Crimson for skin tones. And there's a reason for that.
There were some questions here in that I just saw scroll
so
over.
this is a quest where I really want to answer questions, and we just kind of go through this and talk it through, guys. Talk it through.
Durja is, I think she's in India.
Hi.
And she doesn't have availability to some of these brushes, and was curious, what you suggest you were looking for in them if they don't have those in her area.
Well, here's the thing. Like I have, I always try to tell you like what specific brush I'm using, brand, and all that, so you can duplicate it. But great brushes have certain factors. They don't shed. Great acrylic brushes are stiff, synthetic, and have beautiful edge. I like brights over flats because a short length out gives you control. And sometimes we'll make up for some manufacturer defects. But not that many.
Now, if you...
Not that many. So we have a brush video about like how to pick brushes and stuff like that too.
Cool, okay.
I am going to take a little Cad Red Light. If you go through last year's Big Art Quest, we cover things like brushes and studio and all that. I'm going to take some Cad Red Light over to my yellow ochre. And this is what's called my warming color. Now, to keep it there for me for a minute, I'm going to add some glazing liquid to it so it's not drying out on me. This doesn't turn this into golden open paints, but it does definitely slow down the drying time.
Gotcha.
So I got a minute to think about things, which you need when you're doing skin tones, right? You need a minute.
Yeah.
Cad Red can really overwhelm your colors. I like it, but if it's giving you like just a terrible time, you can try Cadmium Vermilion or Venetian Red as well. Those will work equally good. I know. It's like watching some... I actually personally really love the part where I get to mix paint with my palette knife. It makes me super happy. It's weirdly satisfying. I actually watch videos of that. Paint mixing videos. Look, this is how much you can mix this stuff up. I've just grabbed a different ochre and I'm not even worried about it. Because, and this here is going to be kind of a cooling color. So I'm going to take a little of this over into this, and I'm going to make, this is going to be like my shadow. My shadow. It's good to have a shadow. And this is my shadow. Isn't that nice?
That is.
So, you can add a little more ochre to it if you need it. but that gives you good shadow. And then the next trick is like you will sometimes get into the purples with a little phthalo blue.
Yeah.
You can gray your skin tones out with green. So here's some shadow. There is a lot of making some base skin tones at the beginning of any painting you're doing where there's skin tones.
Now, do you have any? We have some skin tone help out there, don't we?
Yeah, we have a video on how to do 3 different basic skin tones.
I thought I remember sitting through one of those. I mean, like, there's a lot of videos.
Well,
so.
that's lovely. Thank you.
Well, I can't remember, so I don't want to speak out of turn and going, like, because I want to say, I think we did a skin tone video, but then I could be wrong. It was about a nose, and I just remember skin tones.
No, we did. We did some skin tone videos, and we did some stuff. So I'm going to put out my last and final, which is going to be my base skin tone. So here's what. This is a warming color, so I'm going to mix that into my basic skin tone. This is a cooling color, so I might mix that into my basic skin tone where I'm cooling. These are highlight colors. So this is what I'm doing, is I'm giving myself enough room to mix some things out because there's so much blending that is basically going on.
No, one more question here that's come up a couple times that I missed. I believe it's Karina is in Germany and didn't understand what you meant by bright brush. Can you show?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if that's just maybe it doesn't translate the same, but she was asking if you could give some clarification of what that meant.
Real simple. So here I have a bright and here I have a flat, and you can see there's a real difference in the length out from the ferrule. That's from here to here, and the length of the bristles. The longer the length out is, the more that this brush will flare out on the stroke. See how it flares out on the stroke?
Yeah.
And soften. So if you're painting if you're painting like a very inexpensive paint or craft paint, this is actually a really nice brush because this is going to be self-sealing as it goes behind and leave no brush strokes. But if you're painting a heavy body paint, you really need a good stiff bright.
Gotcha.
That's all it is.
Cool. Thanks.
So happy to help out as I'm mixing skin tones.
As you're making
It's exciting. It's just like watching cement. Watch me mix skin tones. So I'm going to do this here. And as you guys know, I really like a little quinacridone in my base skin tone. That's my favorite base. So I've kind of got some 3 ranges here, don't I?
Yeah.
Because skin is not one color.
Yep, that's exactly what Karina needed. Thank you.
Oh, cool. So I'm going to make sure that that has some, because it will dry out on me, and I just hate having to mix these again. Not that I can't, but once I get going, I like to really start whipping through. And I like to show you what I'm doing. I don't like to pre-mix these before one of these lessons because I want you guys to see me doing the mix. What I'm doing here. So this is me mixing paint. Isn't that exciting?
It's almost as exciting as watching paint dry.
Which we're also about to do.
Well, we watch actually the part where you spread the paint. The drying part is just a subsequent after effect.
I'm going to take a little of this over into this. And hopefully start to get into my base skin tone.
That was, wait a minute, you grabbed yellow?
This is the cad yellow and a little bit of white.
Oh.
I may have to mix this back up again, but I need to make a basic, and this is still, in my opinion, a little too... There we go, see?
To what?
Dark maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm going to smidge a little of my quinacridone over here, pink this sucker up.
Why? Oh, to pink it up.
Pink it up, and then I'm going to lighten it with my white a bit.
I see.
Pink it up, but do it small because quinacridone, even though it's transparent, is a very powerful pigment.
So you're adding quinacridone to add pink to the skin tone.
Yeah, right here. I'm pinking it up, and I'm going to come here and be like, lighten up, man. Here I'm going, looking for my skin tones. Skin tones. I'm going to miss this palette, too. I highly recommend that you get in the habit. When you're doing long paints, where you've got skin tones and you're doing a lot of blending, use extenders like golden glazing liquid or a retarder or something to slow the drying time down of your oils. And also, miss that sucker.
Yes. Now we have viewers from all over the world.
All over the world today.
So definitely, this is just one skin tone.
This is me misting it.
This is just one.
I got one of these.
Yep. This is one of the many skin tones that you can mix.
Yeah, there's so many. And they're all this involved, which is why I recommend that book with 400 recipes, which, by the way, is not complete.
No.
It's just 400 skin tones.
Yeah.
Which just makes us think that we might all be crazy about all that stuff. When you start painting, you're like, You just start looking for the undertone of purple.
It's the rainbow.
It literally is.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so we have all that out, right?
Mhm.
And I have my burnt umber. I'm going to take.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to decide if I want a filbert or a.
I can't kind of see. I had the.
I'm going to do a filbert.
There it goes.
I have a number 4 filbert here. Filberts are lovely for portraits
Why?
because they have this beautiful,
Wait.
soft, rounded edge.
I feel like you're waiting for me to ask that question.
I am.
Am
So I'm going to come first, and I'm going to come in and do sort of that umber study. Remember how we did that before?
Yeah.
Where we started painting in our underpainting, our values, with our burnt sienna, didn't we?
Now, it's that roundy edge that actually makes it so soft. Yeah.
Yes, it's the rounded edge which makes it so soft. And that's very nice for it because you have a nice little edge here that makes a line, but you can really do soft blending.
Mm.
So either this or cat's tongue is often preferred by portrait artists. So it's a good one to have around. If you can get it. I'm just making sure this is here. I might put out some phthalo blue because that will let me do some deep shadows like you do. And I don't want to use black in this particular painting.
Why is that?
Well, I'm going to have chromatic black, but I don't want the pigment overload of true black.
Now, I had heard
I'm going to bring a shadow right under this ear because we know that the jawline, it's about the shadow that's underneath the jawline that creates the shape. You don't want to draw a hard edge. You want to create a gradated, rounded shadow.
Now, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I want to ask this. So
I don't want to speak out of turn. Well, dude, speak out of turn. What could you say that's so scandalous? I'm going to take a little blue over to my alizarin, make this purple, and mix it into my brown.
So I hear a lot of landscape painters say that they don't use black because it's not found in nature.
That's true. Colorists tend to not use black. Tonalists do.
And then I know that a lot of portraits tend to be of natural things, and I don't see a lot of black being used there.
Nope.
Except that, like, during, I want to say, the Romantic period where...
So, here's the background, the behind the scenes on all of this art drama. I'm coming in and I'm laying in my deep shadow at my ear. So an ear has this sort of like double pocket. This is where the eardrum and the sound goes in, and so you want to make sure that you give this a deep shadow. And then we're going to have this other interesting little space that's in shadow right here. And then that kind of comes around there. See how that's already looking like an ear? It's crazy. Let's tuck a little shadow up here, and then there's several rolls in an ear.
What are they?
Just the cartilage. So what you're basically painting is the cartilage. There's probably a whole bunch of reasons why it's there, like evolutionarily. If you went to an Italian school, you'd have to totally explain the function of the ear to paint it.
So
I didn't though, so I don't.
But it's not like it's not like the first rule of ear club is don't talk about ear club.
No, it's definitely not like the first rule of ear club is don't talk about ear club. Anyways, everything in painting, whenever you're hearing about schools, is a group of artists will get together and they'll decide that the secret of all art is blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Literally.
I subscribe to the school of blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah,
I'm
blah,
there.
blah. Say it with me.
Okay.
You take an art history class and you're like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. So they'll be like, everything in art is about putting colors next to each other and allowing them to vibrate.
Or about perspective.
And then a bunch of them
about
get together
realism.
and decide that they all concur that this is really what makes painting awesome sauce. And all painting that was before it just pretty much sucked. And they totally have this locked down. And so they get together and they talk a lot about how paint next to each other vibrates a particular way, blah, 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 blah. And then they all start painting because they influence each other. Have you noticed we all influence each other desperately? Even before the internet, we influenced each other. We just did it in something called a salon. And so they're blah, 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 blah. And then they all paint like that. And then another generation comes up and says, that was just for, you guys were so literal. You're so literal. And then they all get together in a scribe. And so when it stops being a style and it starts being a school is when a group of them agree, create a bunch of constraints under which art is correctly or incorrectly created, and then they paint a whole bunch of paintings.
And that's how we get Dadists?
That's how we get a Dotist. That's how a Dotist is born.
Yay.
I've just explained art to you. That just saved you 2 years of class.
So
Blah,
that
blah,
goes,
blah. Jeanine's laughing right now. Blah, 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 blah.
So that-
She's going to be like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. So I'm just continuing to really define this shadow. And I want to make sure I have the shadow behind this ear. And I'm not working incredibly quickly today because I find when doing portraits, especially, you know, as you're trying to do more delicate structures, it's good to just be thoughtful, you know. And I have a bunch of 14-minute videos, so we have a second here. Can you see that I'm working the edge of this brush?
I can. You're making these little flicky,
Yeah.
shadowy things. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, because I can come back. Look how softly I can come back. Now, I have to say that there's very few great acrylic filberts. So I really do like these because they're just stiff enough to still be useful, but still soft enough to be all blendy. It's a really difficult line to walk. There's only a few brushes out there that do this. So when you're looking for your filbert, whatever you're looking for, you need it to be firm enough to push your heavy body paint, but also still kind of delicate enough on the edge to blend. Just something to think about.
Gotcha.
I give you lots of things to think about. That's my deal. I'm going to get some more umber here. And I'm going to talk about this little shadow that's here.
Now, that was the burnt variety, correct?
That's the burnt. So what I've done to make this is I've got a little phthalo blue tucked over here for cooling. I've got my Alizarine Crimson here. I've got my cad yellows to create pops of warmth. I've got these 2 shadow colors, and I've got a bunch of little skin tone ranges that I'm going to be messing about with nonstop.
Yeah.
Just know that's coming. Then I'm going to just, I really, really know that I'm going to want a nice little shadow here. So I'm going to just lightly feather. Look how nice that feathers it. Isn't that cool?
That is. You're all...
This is heavy body paint too. Just saying. Pretty cool stuff. It's pretty cool. And that's what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the cheekbone a little bit and maybe a bit of the shadow along the hairline that's happening here. And this laying it out before I start glazing in my skin tone is going to make a great deal of difference in the final result of the painting. There are different ways to do portraits, and there are some ways where you just very quickly and expressively just put down single strokes of skin color and make a very expressive piece, but that's not the style we're doing today. It's not what we're doing today. Could do it later.
But
we're not doing it today.
We're not condemning that method.
No, not at all. I think it's totally awesome sauce. Right?
You pretty much think all kinds of art is awesome sauce.
I think a lot of art is. There's sometimes I go, what? But mostly, you know, and I'm pretty liberal in my art. I'm pretty liberal.
We love human expression.
We do. So this is quite dark, and obviously my skin tone that's going to be coming up is much lighter, but it is going to help inform what I'm painting.
Yes.
And that's always nice. I'm getting some more just burnt umber and a little glaze, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm coming here and rolling out if I've got too much pigment, I'm going to wipe off my brush and look, just feather it out. I'm just putting in a little paint. This is like I'm sketching, isn't it? In paint. I'm doodling in my paint. I'm going to doodle in my paint. I'm creating a little shadow here. And if you think about it, what's here? This is a jawbone. This is why they have you draw skulls in art school. This is a jawbone and where it hinges. And then you know there's skin and muscle wrapped over it. I mean, we're not going to get all Temperance Brennan here, but, you know, think about those things. It'll help you.
Just throwing down the bones references.
Dude, John and I used to be so into that. And then they just got weird. Angel always takes a weird turn, doesn't he? You know. You watch any Angel-based TV series, but at some point, we can all pretend it's Agent Booth, but we all know it's Angel. That's fine.
What's weird is when you have Spike coming and visiting. And
so, wow, right? So now you kind of see the structure that you've sketched in with your paint, right, with these dark values. This is your understudy. We're not going to do total grisaille, but this is that beginning of that thinking, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm going to get my bigger filbert. Where's my bigger filberts?
I don't know.
Where's my bigger filberts?
Although I feel like you need to have like a 4-foot filbert.
A 4-foot. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to get a cat's tongue out, which is like a filbert, but better. Because I don't know where my other filberts are.
Because I think a 4-foot filbert should exist. You have to
okay, so this is a cat's tongue, which is coming out my line, which as you can see is similar to a filbert, but it comes to a point. which basically means this is 3 brushes in 1 brush.
And that was a prototype you're holding.
Yeah, it is a prototype, but it's coming out. It's available. You get a filbert. And if I could find my filberts, I would have a filbert, but I don't know where to put my filbert. I've got to reorganize my brush bucket right after this lesson.
Do we need to go wash your filbert?
Huh?
Do we need to go wash it?
No, I need a bigger filbert. That's why I'm moving up. So this is this. You do a filbert. You guys at home, you get a filbert. You get a filbert. I don't know where my bigger filbert is. I really don't. Nope, those are all brights, and they're new, and they're for photography. Oh, here it is. Because I was using it when I was doing the original painting. Here it is. Here it is. What size is that?
It's a black pearl that has been, well, you...
What size were you? I need some alcohol.
We'll put it in the description below.
We'll put it in the description below.
It's a big one.
No, I think what this is a 6 filbert.
Yeah.
6 or an 8 filbert. So I'm going to start painting this in.
Okay.
We're going to ignore that I had this moment here and not all be like, oh no.
And, this is...
So I'm going to get my base skin tone here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure I have enough glazing liquid on here. And I'm going to start just laying in my painting.
Yeah.
There we go. Just start putting that in. And it's amazing how the underpainting glazing through helps create that basis.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're looking for. We're starting to create that basis. And if you need a little more quinacridone to, warm it up,
Mm-hmm.
put some circulation in it. See how easy that is to add?
Yeah.
Look. Super easy to add. And what's going to happen when we're all done with this is this piece will, even more than my example, feel very luminous. Even more.
Even more luminous?
Even more luminous. Even more luminous. That's right. Even more. So I'm just coming down here and painting this in. And the shadows and all that will be underneath. And what's nice about this is it almost creates a sketch that I can follow, doesn't it?
It does. Now, see, that's really interesting how now there's a whole lot of complexity that's now appearing there in the neck.
Yeah.
And I'm going to zoom out there a little bit so you can kind of see that.
Whole bunch of complexity. Get some more quinacridone on my brush because who doesn't like pink skin?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably a whole bunch of people. I say crazy things sometimes. That's my charm.
I think,
All right, we're just kind of thinking about what's happening here.
I like how it layers in there, though.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, while we're here, I'm going to just think about my hair real quick because the paint's here.
The purple hair?
Yeah, I'm going to take actually my alizarin over to my blue.
That's blue hair.
This is our chromatic black. It's not blue hair, it's chromatic black hair.
It's chromatic black hair.
It looks black to the eye.
Oh, where are we going?
And I'm going to start working this in. Because it's nice to have this dry and have this base in. We've got a lot of painting to do over it, but you got to have an underpainting, right? And we didn't do an acrylic ground.
So this is the underpainting?
This is the underpainting. This creates the tone, the values, the richness, and the depth that makes a painting feel deep.
Now, you're working wet into wet in some areas, but generally the painting is drying relatively quickly. So
yes.
you're not able to work the whole canvas wet.
I don't really need to work the whole canvas wet into wet, especially at this stage. It would be early, it would be premature.
So right now you're just working small areas wet into wet.
Just small areas wet into wet. If I needed to work large areas wet into wet, like needed to for my goal, I would switch to either golden opens, or I would do my whole underpainting in acrylic and then switch to oils.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute now.
That's what I would do.
I have heard you say not to mix oil and acrylic.
Well, that is don't paint acrylic over oil, but you can paint oil over acrylic all day.
Okay, so
So the rule is fat over lean, not lean over fat.
okay, so
There are very few rules in art, but in this one, please don't put oils in your acrylic paint.
now that's because oils can bond to acrylic,
Yeah.
but acrylic can't bond to oil.
Nope, and it'll cause your painting to fall off.
Now acrylic will
I'm not even exaggerating. Your
Yeah.
painting will totally fall off.
on
So I've added a little brown in my brush, and I'm just kind of, this section of the hair,
Mhm.
it's still an underpainting, but I'm just painting it in a slightly warmer color. That's all that's happening.
Gotcha.
So just a little of my burnt umber and my phthalo blue.
So
They tend to go a little green, but I still like them, especially in the hair.
So
I
you
kind of got
might
this purple here, and then it's the green here. That's showing this is going to be the sun-bleached hair, and then down below will be the richer color. So what you're saying?
so you might work this underpainting all in acrylic first,
Yeah.
and then if you needed to,
You could totally do the whole top, and a lot of artists do this. Is they'll block out everything they can in acrylic first,
Mhm.
and then for the areas where they need a lot of blending and they need a lot of refinement, they'll switch over to oils.
Huh, that's cool.
It is really cool. It does some beautiful effects. Not the only way to do it, it's just a way to do it. A way.
Again, the many ways one can paint an ear.
The many, many ways. But we're going to do this one way, and it's going to come out. We're all going to have nice ears.
Could you gouache your ear?
Yeah. Yes, if you really. But probably not over your acrylic paint. But you could gouache your ear. Well, there's acrylic gouache, so I don't know.
So there you're getting into
Now
mixed
you're getting some
gouachiness.
crazy. Yeah, it's so funny. I'm still in disbelief that acrylic gouache is somehow not acrylic paint. So I
Well,
have all
the
kinds of
pigment-
problems here. I'm
wait,
going to
wait,
sip my coffee.
I think on that one
So we're laying this in pretty well, right? If we've done the geisha, we're kind of like, oh, I kind of know how this is going to be.
That's right. There was a geisha one that had that sort of the similar hair and neck.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
We build up. We build up. We also keep putting our paint out. We're going to mist again.
Mist.
We're going to mist
Now
your paint again because it's dry. If you're in a dryer, if you're in a perfect for painting area, don't worry about it. But I am not. I love this red in skin tones. Just so y'all know. Mist myself. Mist the painting.
Miss Blendy.
And I'm gonna start putting in my ear, man. I'm back to my number 4. Okay, so that's a number 8 filbert that I was using earlier. I'm going to just start putting in my ear. So the ear, this part here is this rolled cartilage, right? In general. But again, ears, as we all post our ear selfies, I think we're going to notice the ears come in a lot of shapes and sizes. And so I'm going to put this base tone in. You know, my shadow's going to be there to help me not lose my ear structure, like you can very easily do. Lose your ear structure. And also because this does create these glazed layers create this feeling of depth into the skin and make it feel more alive.
Yeah.
The more that you can do that, the happier you'll be. I'm going to take some of my, this is going to be my cooling color. I'm going to add this over to my base skin tone over here.
Yeah.
And paint this interior part of my ear. So this is sort of this cup, and really what we're doing is we're just shading the shapes. Just shading the shapes. I can come here to my jawline with this cooling color, and I'm going to, while I have it, get some glaze, go ahead and kind of blend that. Oh, that's too much glaze. Yeah, I did that, too much glaze. That's what a towel is for.
We're having a little buffering problem here. So why don't you take a sippy while we're having some buffering issues?
Are we?
Yeah, we're having a little buffer.
Oh no.
It's that live thing. So I'm gonna see what we can do over here.
I hope it's better by this weekend because we have that cool live this weekend.
We do have cool live. So I'm gonna
just shading. I'm just shading the jaw here. Just wanting to make sure that it's a blended shadow that's rolling up the jaw.
There's no data.
There's no data? Does that mean we have no stream?
It's saying that right now there is no stream being received for whatever reason, as if our Comcast was completely gone. Hold
Is our
on. We're going to...
is our Comcast completely
I'm
gone?
not exactly sure what's going on here. So I'm going to... Hold on a second.
Let's paint on this
Switch
and
over here. For some reason... Yeah.
we have no signal. It's just not happening for us. You don't get to learn how to paint ears today. No, that's not true.
Actually,
we'll still just re-upload.
what I'm seeing is that there looks to be some internet-wide things going on right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and finish this up.
Okay.
And we're going to see how it goes, and everyone's going to be hanging out. We're going to make sure we re-upload this if there's a problem.
That's what we'll do,
Yeah.
which is what we always do.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going.
Cool.
I'm going to take my little cooling color over to my base skin tone
Mm-hmm.
and keep working out those little areas that have more shadow, like the area underneath the cheek, and just enjoy that. This is my favorite part. I like it so much. You just can't really enjoy your skin tone enough, creating a little shadow along the hairline. And I kind of had talked about that with my burnt umber. And it will absolutely make a difference. So let's, I like to come along the back of the neck with this. Because this gets caught in shadow because like the hair and just a whole bunch of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to definitely deepen that shadow. But it's always nice to just... Now I'm going to really, really, really get into the shadow color and come right under the jaw. Let's glaze. So much fun to blend. Just keep working this out. And I'm just using the tip of my brush and very softly working it. I'm going to come here where the highlight is. You need the highlight along this tendon. And I'll be coming back with even more cooling shadow over here. I'm going to very softly with the tip of these bristles blend between these two lines. And the trick is going to be, and I'm going to come back with a little more of my base skin tone, making sure that this is a roll, not a hard line. So right here, I can get my warming skin tone and a little of my base. Always interesting to do. And then just right here, I'm going to lighten it up even. Come right here and create this highlight area very softly. And you can see this is where the filbert just really does that job, right? Let's highlight that because we don't want it to all be one shadow, otherwise it won't have any shape. So I spend a lot of time generally getting this roll worked out.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep getting this lightness, lightening the skin tone there, and just keep softening that through here. And soften those edges. Soft, 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 soft. Just keep blending it. Wipe off my brush if I need to. Come back with my slightly darker color and blending those two lines in. We're rolling the jaw. Now I'm going to come in with my, maybe even a little yellow ochre into my warming color. So it's quite warm. And grab some of my base skin tone. Come right here. Let's warm that up. Get glaze if you need to. So the 3 ways that you can blend acrylic paint are dry brushing, wet into wet, and glazing. So you're always sort of just balancing between those activities. Let's put a little of this warmth right here. Get a little of my darker color. Maybe a little Alizarine Crimson if I need to. And a little glaze. Let's come here. If your brush gets too loaded down, that's what the towel is for. Just offload. Because you can keep building up glazes so easily. Glazes being the transparent, thin coats of paint. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
Just blending those glazes. Just gonna blend them. I'm just softly softening these edges. I'm softly, not grrr. So I'm not kinetically putting a lot of weight into my hand, into my canvas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very delicately brushing this. And I'm just really trying to soften these fields of value, these subtle sort of lights and darks, because this is going to help me define these spaces, and they're important spaces to define. Get a little more of that there. Make sure I have enough lightness in it. I'm going to come right here. And I need a little more glaze. So this is where I love my glazing medium. Again, this isn't the only way to do this. There's a really tremendous artist, Carol Maureen, and she just does little splats of color that are just three colors, and it's a whole face. It's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of ways. But I'm just softening these edges. Look, soft, 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 soft. Nothing hard, nothing intense. Just pulling it in. So this is where the filbert is my friend. The filbert is my friend. I may have to switch into a bright to do a lot of the ear work, but I don't mind that. I'm going to get a little of my alizarin and even a little of my burnt umber. It makes a very deep shadow and get some glaze. Just come right under here. Look at that. Just softly. So where you can start having trouble is if your paint isn't dry enough to take the next layer. It can start to fight you a little bit. Then all you've got to do is just take a break, have a little cup of coffee, breathe and relax. Expect to be with any of your paintings that are like this for a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Happens. Get a little more of my skin tone back. Come back with a little of my glaze. Kind of a little bobble there, and that's okay. Come back. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm keeping that sort of shadows and shape and everything that I'm looking to make. Just respecting the blend. I'm going to start working my ear now because this class is about the ear. And then I'm going to come back and finish this up. I'm going to get a, ooh, this is a wonderful, this is a number 2 filbert. Things are about to get super easy. So I'm going to take my warming color like my yellow ochre, my cad, and some white. And make sure that I come along the top here. I'm just warming this area up. All right, a little bit here coming out. When you look at an ear, there's a lot of colors going on inside of it. And so that is a lot of what this is about. Just keeping that warming color going. Another place you might put some of that is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just trying to show these fields of, get a little white to that. Right here on the inside edge of this ear. This very light color. Right?
Yeah.
And definitely you're going to have a very light color right here. Just pull that. We know we're going to come back with shadow. It's going to help define it. Go ahead and get this color right here, which is that base skin tone with a little more red in it. Blending that out. Let's take this light color down this cartilage into the ear. So that's coming into that ear. Alright, just blending it out. Now there's a bit of a highlight that sort of radiates out from the ear. It's warm, it's a little space that's coming out. But you can have a shadow, so it's okay to go back to your cooling color. And right here, there's a little bit of a deep space that kind of convexes in. So just softly, softly put that in. You're just almost painting mountains. If you think of painting an ear like painting mountains or a landscape, then really you're just looking for all the values of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Going to take this little color right here and add it to my skin tone. Come around the ear. This sort of will blush the ear a bit, which is nice. You want a little blush in the ear. And then definitely under the roll of the lobe. You're going to shadow the lobe. This is quite thick and heavy, and so you're going to want to show how that rolls. Show how that rolls. John's being very quiet, so I assume that we are not online anymore.
Well, we are and we are not. And so we still have a whole bunch of people who are hanging out in here, chatting.
They're just hanging out, waiting for it to come back.
But it looks like maybe it may be coming back. So they may be rewarded.
They may be rewarded for their hanging in. I'm grabbing a little of my Alizarine here. I'm going to come and just, there's this little shadow that's right here. Get some glazing liquid if you can. Let's see if we can paint that slight valley in that ear. We painted in with our brown. But let's see if we can get that in. There we go. We're going to come back with the highlight. It's going to create that defined shape. One that goes right across the front. Get this right here. There you go. That's what you're constantly doing, is finding those valleys and shadows and highlights. And let's get a little of the highlight warming color. A little more ochre maybe. Some white. Come right here. Let's bring that little, maybe a little bit of that right there. But it's light.
It's light.
It's light. Let's blend that in. Blend this in. Let's blend this around here so it's not got a hard edge. And maybe a little yellow and white. Right here. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit right there, down the cartilage right here. And then I think that there's a beautiful kind of little highlight that's right here. And my brush pressure is just so light, I cannot even tell you how I'm just dusting the canvas with these. Now that I've got a lot of these values in, I'm going to want to start adding some shadows because that's going to help start create the space that is my ear. So I'm going to take a little of my Alizarine Crimson in my shadow color.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come inside here, start very delicately pushing that back. And I may even come back with a bright so I have more firmness, authority, and control. So this is a number 2 bright. It's quite small. I might even switch to I'll see if this is good. If I've got to go down a size to somebody like this, which is a number like 00, I will. I am painting in these shadows. A little bit right here. And I'm going to blend this out here. I'm going to come underneath my ear with this. I'm going to follow where this would cast a shadow. So we're just really, ears are all about lighting. I'm going to get some glazing medium. We're just glazing this up. So see, we're just blending. It's wonderful if this is quite kind of red in here with this alizarin, because you would see the capillaries of all of this. And what I'm looking at is I have my photography reference and my painting reference, and that's what I keep referencing when I'm looking over. I'm going to grab a little of my base skin tone and some more glaze. Just make sure that I'm blending these spaces a little bit. Doing quite well, I feel. Make it a little, rinse my brush out. Maybe get a little of my quinacridone, which is quite pink. My skin tone. Make sure it's light enough. Make sure that we're adding a little of that there. So you can see I'm just constantly, painted out my shadow. If you paint out your shadow, go put it back. They're an important part of your painting. So I'm going to add some of this to under my ear. Along my jawline with glaze. Just softly. With glaze. And that's how I keep it from being very hard and overwhelming. Just glazing it out. So again, it's wet into wet, or it's glazing, or it's dry brushing, whatever you're going to use, it's all fine. Or just painting fields of color next to each other to create your event. I'm going to get my bigger filbert out. I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to get some of my alizarin and some of my glaze. I'm going to come here along this hairline really glazed, so it's very transparent. But it's dusting a little color, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to come and color this just the lightest amount I can. This is kind of like a blush. Down along the jawline here. And blending in here. Take it back into the ear. There we go. Just soft. Soft, 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 soft. Just pulling it in, getting a little of my base skin. Just putting this here. So I'm just trying to balance these two spaces. See how we're going?
Mm-hmm.
So all we're doing in painting is making marks with pigment on a flat surface like a canvas or a paper. That's all that's happening. And we have a whole series of marks as artists that we can make. And how we do that becomes kind of our style or our voice.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so nice to learn a lot of different marks. This is just really what it is because then you have a lot you can say when you need to say it.
And while today's stream has not gone off as we hoped, I want to say thank you to the over 120 people who've been hanging out with us here
Yeah.
for, about an hour while the stream has just utterly collapsed.
Yeah.
And they've just, they're having a
We're
pretty
going to
good
re-upload
time.
this sucker though, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to re-upload this for you guys. I just made sure that the stream recording is good. So we've got it here for you. And I just want to say thank you because there's just been a whole crew of people out here. And Ulla and Rose and Avalon and Karina and Rhonda and of course Christy and Janine and Ravenlocks and Lisa and Thorny Gates and Ian and I just want to make Steffi Cakes is here, Tara and Ruth and all you guys and Mel. Thank you guys for hanging in here. I know that I can't say hello to all of you guys here. You guys have all been hanging in here and I just appreciate it.
That's really nice.
Rhonda, Tanya, Christine, all you guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out. So, that's just my little shout out to the community.
That's a good one. I like it.
So,
I'm just warming up the inside of the ear a
Okay.
little bit. I feel like I've really talked about this ear.
Well, we're here. We're on the ear for a little while. So,
Well, that's what this quest is. It's not like I lied to anybody.
no, you didn't say ear and then slipped a nose in there.
Just making sure my blend is nice. And that's what you're looking for is just something that you're feeling is a nice transition. You want your transitions to be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Add some of my quinacridone to this and some glaze. And that's what I'm just constantly going for is, are my transitions what I'm hoping for? And sometimes they are and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
You can't be too hard on yourself during a painting process. It's just, these are just little journeys. I'm going to take my blue. This is my weird little deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a bit of a colorist, not a tonalist. And I'm going to take my small bright. I'm going to take a little of my Alizarine Crimson into my blue until I get a purple that I really like. It's kind of blue-purple. I think this is a really great color, and it feels like a great shadow to me. And when I take it into those areas of the ear where it would be quite dark, I feel like it gives me a lot of pop. So come right here. This is like where the ear canal is, and I'm going to add just a little of that. These are those deepest shadows. I feel like this is when things pop for me. See how it starts to just go. Maybe a little bit. The finest line here. Under some of that. I'm going to come right under the ear here. And I will go ahead and glaze some of this down. So when I paint like this, when I put in these blue shadows, I'm kind of saying that she has a blue undertone to her skin. I'm just making sure that we've got those values that convey that.
You fooled me.
Huh?
I thought you were going for...
I'm going to come down the back of the neck. Does that help?
No, it's fine. I just...
With this blue shadow here, right?
Today,
glaze.
Today we have internet goggles.
We have internet goggles? What does that mean?
That means these goggles do nothing. We cannot see anything with these goggles.
Well, let's get our brights back out.
Thorny Gate says, I see nothing.
I'm going to get a number 4 bright here. And I'm going to start putting in my hair, which I'm going to take a little of my Alizarine Crimson over into my blue. Get a little white into that so I can really see that it's sort of a purple. And I'm going to come along the hairline here. Pull down these delicate little bits of hair. Like flyaways. I love flyaways. Flyaways are the best of the flyaways. No, I just really love a flyaway little hairline.
Mm-hmm.
And this dark cool is kind of like almost the shadow of probably a lighter hair.
Gotcha.
Pull those down using the edge of my brush. My palette's a little dry right now. That'll happen. I'm going to put some little flyaways back here. Little curves. So I like to work the edge of the brush and almost be like calligraphy-like with these brush strokes is what it is.
Yeah.
And then I also like to put a little few hairs that are out from the bun. Now I'll come back with some very light colors. But I like having some shadow into that when I'm going into it.
Mm.
Like you do.
Like you do.
I'm going to take a little of my Alizarine Crimson into my burnt sienna and start working this beautiful rich hair. So I'm coming here with the Alizarine Crimson and the burnt sienna. One of the things that I'm going to have to pay attention to is that there's a shadow here, a little bit of a shadow here, and then a shadow under this layer of hair.
Now I'm noticing you're actually really pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm bummed we didn't get to do it all together like we usually do.
Well, actually, everybody's still here. It's kind of the funny thing is like, we've still got over 100 people who are hanging out with us. Just there's a lot of singing and carrying on, and lots of fun, and lots of well wishes for our gear. And you know
this has been going on with the stream. Mom's been having trouble. A lot of people have been having trouble with the streams lately. They're just they're just tricky lately. They're tricksy, as Gollum would say.
You gotta be more of a surfer when you're doing live and kind of catch the good streams and recognize that not every set's gonna be a winner.
It's so true, and have the ability to re-upload just in case things are not ideal.
Yeah, on some days when you can't surf, you gotta be ready to windsurf.
So I'm trying to tell the story of the direction of the hair where this is caught into these two buns, and I'm doing that with my brush directionality.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where I'm just saying, oh, this is where the hair is flowing. I need to make sure that, you know, I'm telling a nice story here. Under the hair. And along my ear line. Just making sure. So you can see that the deep color underneath really helps build up
Yeah.
these values and helps me, you know, really get a handle on it. I probably could put out a little more blue and a little more crimson to smooth out some of the deep values because they're a little rough. That's messy.
Oops.
Look how messy that is. So messy. I dropped my paint today.
Well, you dropped your brush the other day.
Dropped my brush, dropped my paint. I've been dropping things lately. Don't Google it. It's too scary. Sometimes, like, if I have, like, a thing going on, I'm like, what does it mean if you drop things a lot? And it's like, you've died. But I feel so alive. So, just making sure those shadows are defined in this hair. And I want to make sure along this hairline that I've got a nice deep, see, doesn't that pull it?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you can see why I'm saying it's our chromatic black. It's purple, but it's not just black.
It's chromatic purple black.
Chromatic black. Just chromatic black.
I will be a defiant 8-year-old and redefine this.
Who? You?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to just pull this dark value here. Again, this is the brush stroke that tells the direction of my hair. I don't really paint individual hairs as much as hair shapes and form and shadow. And the more you can get away from trying to draw every hair, the more you can start to capture its feeling. Though I think there's nothing wrong with drawing every hair. If that's your art, that's totally cool. It's cool. But I just want to create these deep values. Now that I've got that sort of worked out and in, I'm going to get some burnt sienna out. I'm going to clean up my paint mess, what it is. How's everybody doing? I don't know.
They're pretty good. We're all actually talking about what does the server mean when it says the stream is bad versus good? Because it's saying both things almost at the same time, or going back and forth between them very quickly. And so we were just talking about
it's conflicted.
It's conflicted, and so they're going, well, wait, maybe no, something, it'll start and then it'll stop.
It'll start and it'll stop. It's just that kind of day.
We're just kind of chatting it up and having a good time out here, you know.
As you should.
As we should. We're going to get the video on the replay, but while we're here, we may as well just sort of
hang out and enjoy. So I'm just like using the burnt sienna, which is really, really going to pop. You know, it's still, I'm painting one into wet in some places and dry over others, which is letting the pigment pop and paying attention to my hairline. Let's put some of this here. Let's give this little bun a little highlight. There we go. Now, here's a neat thing that I can do. I can take this color, which was my highlight skin color, into my burnt sienna and make this beautiful highlight hair color. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
But it's really nice, isn't it?
I like it.
Just painting some of those highlights along here. When I'm doing these highlights, what I'm talking about is essentially sun-kissed hair. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to wipe off a little bit of this, and I'm going to take a little of this over to my yellow ochre. Right, mixing this in so it's not just yellow ochre. You can even add a smidge of white to it. Smidge. And I'm going to continue to talk about these bits of hair very lightly. Twix is like, you guys could finish up, I could go outside, that would be cool.
I'll let her out.
It's just so funny. She's the cutest little girl ever. Twix is our dog.
Our little dog Twix.
All right, I'm going to get my small braid again. I'm going to come work my little hairs down here. I'm going to take a little of my, oh, this is not a bright, that's a filbert. There it is. Just a little of my white, maybe my yellow. I'm going to just add some, as if they're backlit, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's some lighting at these hairs, so they're lighter. I think that's it. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think we have painted an ear.
Yeah?
Not technically together. Because, you know.
Happens.
It happens. I think I'll sign. Where's my monogram? There's my monogram.
There's your monogram, okay.
My monogram. Maybe a little quinacridone and some white. So it's lighter. In my background. I like to think about where I put my signatures, just so that they're part of the piece.
Yeah.
That's just a thing I do. There we go.
Well, there you go. And, you know, we still have a huge crowd of people who are hanging out with us here. We still have over 100 people here hanging out with us. So I'm going to say thank you to guys. I'm going to go over and say hi in chat. And we love you guys for being part of our community. Don't forget to share your pictures. I keep saying over to them. Tell them.
John's got it.
I love
you.
You
Want to take us out today?
No. I just want to say don't forget to post up your pictures because I want to see all the ears and the
Big
selfies.
Art Quest on Facebook
Yeah.
is a group that you can join. You can come to the website, the Art Sherpa Big Art Quest. You can share any of your pictures there. I hope you had fun. I hope you're a little less intimidated by ears now that we've taken a really nice long look at them. And again, skin tones, and just had a lovely painting day. I want to see you on Saturday because we've got something fun starting at about 1.
Yep.
Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I'm going to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.